So Urban Meyer is running something at Jaguars camp where there's winners and losers. So there's camp drills, like special teams blocking drills. There's drills all over the place, beating your man off the line, in the trenches, what have you. And he is counting who the winner is and who the losers are and announcing them over the loudspeaker and keeping a scoreboard.
We have some winner-loser opportunities. We're going to have to make a decision. A big roster is going to go to a smaller roster, and I think to be fair to players, we all have so much respect for it. This is a way guys make a living, and I don't believe in subjectivity. I believe in what's your record. Every man's got a record. What is it? You are what your record are. If you lose a lot, but you have a lot of potential, that's not real good. If you just over my course of my career, the Ahmad Blacks, I can give you example after example that maybe they're a little slow, but they just never lose. So I try to create those and as many safe, there's one way to do it in that scrimmage forever. You can't do that. You can create scenarios where it's one-on-one and then everybody's got to score. What's your record?
So this is an interesting concept from Urban Meyer. He used this in college to decide starters and playing time, et cetera. And there is some logic to it. You have guys on paper that might be a 4 or 5 star recruit versus a 2 or 3 star recruit, although I'm guessing Ohio State and Florida didn't have many 2 or 3 star recruits. But you have guys on paper who should be faster, who should be bigger, who should be stronger, that when they go out there and practice, keep losing their individual battles, keep losing in their drills, aren't successful. And then you have guys that are kind of self-made guys that have a certain focus or tenacity. There's how many myriad examples of players over the course of time, especially in football, where they weren't the fastest linebacker, but boy, they made every tackle. They weren't the tallest wide receiver, but boy, they won every jump ball. They didn't have the best arm, but boy, they completed every pass. This happens throughout history all of the time. And so what Urban Meyer is suggesting is you can't just look at a sheet of paper and put those guys out there in the starters or the second string guys or what have you, and not take into account how they actually compete, how they perform. And so here is a way to assess or establish some type of scoreboard for the compete factor, the compete level, as they say in hockey. And I understand some of that. I do. I understand some of that because I think every day, if you really care about being treated fairly by your employer, promoted, demoted, give it a raise, what have you, give it a better job, better hours, what have you, you would like, if you really care about that stuff, for your employer to keep tabs on all of the things that you think you do well. And not just look at a sheet of paper and say, this is the way I think it should be, so this is the way that it's going to be. Instead, it's assessed every day based on what you're actually producing. And there's something there to that. Here is my concern about winners and losers in Jaguars camp. It feels really collegey. It feels really amateur. You've got a couple of 19-year-old kids, and one guy is a 5-star recruit, and he was deciding between Ohio State and USC and Alabama, and he came to Ohio State. He's feeling good about himself, a wide receiver, and you've got another wide receiver that you kind of snuck in under the radar perhaps, and he was a 3-star guy or a 4-star guy, but decided between you and Iowa, and you're like, hey, man, that kid is actually better at what he does than the other kid. And you can't tell the 5-star kid you're not starting. You need evidence to back it up because that 5-star kid could transfer, or that 5-star kid's parents could come after you, or that 5-star kid is going to sulk and be bitter, what have you, and be a problem. Or you need to keep that pipeline open at his high school because you can't disappoint his high school coach who's not there at practice every day. And so you need a scoreboard to say, hey, yeah, but, so-and-so beat you every day. So, you were 8 and 38 in this drill. And a 19-year-old kid, okay, might need that motivator, might need that evidence of what you're doing because he's feeling good about himself. I don't know if in the NFL that same mind tactic works. These guys have gone through tons of competition to even get here. They had to be the best in their high school, then one of the best in their college team, one of the best in their college conference. They got drafted, and now they're amongst other paid professionals, and it's about salaries, and it's about incomes, and it's about, your guaranteed contract and your non-guaranteed contracts. And, you just kind of grow up beyond needing the quote unquote like winners and losers scoreboard from training camp. And I don't know what's going to work for Urban Meyer. I'm keeping an open mind. It's one thing that I want to do about Urban Meyer. There are things that he has done that I really raise my eyebrows at. Like the Tim Tebow thing seems to be such a lark to me. And it's such a favor to a friend. And that's just not how head coaches at the professional level, to me, should be building rosters due to favors. But there's some things that Urban Meyer, I think, can bring to a Jaguars organization that they've needed for a while because he's built winning cultures many places. I don't think this part works for the Jags. I think this part's going to feel too collegiate, and these guys don't want to be back in college. These guys want to feel like they graduated to the next level of being a professional. Now, not everyone handles that well. So there might be some value there. I just think that things like this will come off as, oh, yeah, college guy. College guy wants us to do winners and losers and special teams drills. And now, I'm 14 and 16 in my special teams blocking drills. Even though I've been playing special teams for 7 years, I know exactly what I'm doing. Let's see. I'm keeping an open mind, but something like this makes me feel like Urban is drawing too much on what works with 20-year-olds instead of 27-year-olds.